Hey, you're listening to the Matt Uyeno podcast. Super excited for this episode because in this episode, I'll be talking about my experience with 75 Hard. Now, for those of you who don't know, 75 Hard is this challenge by Andy Frisella from the MFCEO project. And basically, it's a mental toughness challenge that's designed to, well, give you more mental toughness. And so here's how it goes. It's 75 days in a row of 2 workouts a day. They both have to be at least 45 minutes long. One of them has to be outdoors. The second thing is that you have to drink a gallon of water a day. You have to follow a diet to the T. It can be any diet you want. It's just that if you break the diet in any way, shape, or form, you got to start all over. So if you're counting macros, if you're counting your calories and you go 1 calorie over, you got to start all over. And there's no cheat days either, or no cheat meals. The other ones was read 10 pages of non-fictional entrepreneurship, self-development sort of book every day, 10 pages a day. Did I already say gallon of water? Yes, gallon of water, and no alcohol. I think that's pretty much it. And I just want to, a couple of days ago, I finally finished this challenge, and oh my gosh. So I'm really excited about this episode because it's been absolutely game changing. So, and I still haven't figured out this whole intro thing. I don't know, I don't know. I'm just going to get right into it. So that's 75 Hard. And basically it all started when a bunch of my friends from college came to visit me in Hawaii at my house just to have fun, and it was a really, really good trip. I mean, I could probably make a podcast about that. Or it wasn't a trip for me, it was a trip for them. A podcast about like everything that we've learned during that time. But basically, we just decided, hey, let's listen to a podcast. We were driving, and we were listening to audiobooks, and we were listening to podcasts. It was actually a really good time because we had good intellectual discussions and everything. And we came across, or I already listened to this podcast, but I showed it to them, which is basically the podcast that details 75 Hard. So this was in May or June or July-ish, summertime. Of last year, 2019. And you know what? We all decided, let's do it. So after we finished, or after, the trip was done, we all decided to do it. Steven, so it was me, Karina, me and my friend Karina, my friend Troy, Steven, as if you know these people. We decided to do it. So Karina and Troy did it right off the bat. Steven had grad school, so he would go on to do it a little bit later. But Karina and Troy did it, and I started. So started off very, very optimistically. And it was really cool too, because the thing is, like, this challenge wasn't a fitness challenge. This isn't like, lose 10 pounds in 10 days or 10 weeks sort of thing. This was purely for mental toughness. And I'd encourage you to go and listen to the podcast that details. It's 75 Hard. The podcast is MFCEO by Andy Frisella. I'll put it in the show notes or the description or wherever the heck you're listening to this podcast. But it's really about mental toughness. So it's not, the goal of it isn't necessarily to lose weight or to gain muscle, though that is a byproduct, because kind of my understanding of the context of this challenge was, people are miserable. People aren't reaching their goals. And one of the problems that this challenge seeks to solve is just your mental toughness, your mental fortitude. To be able to do something like this for 75 days in a row, no exceptions, no compromises, the thing. So 2 workouts a day, 1 has to be outdoors, 45 minutes minimum per workout, gallon of water a day, 10 pages of nonfiction, no alcohol, no cheat meals. I feel like I'm leaving something out, but those are the main things. And unlike a diet or some kind of training regimen, if you mess up, you just kind of get right back on track. You don't start over. You don't do your whole diet from day one again. But this, you start over. You start all over. Now, if you're wondering why I'm making this video now or making this podcast now, is because it took me roughly around 300 days to finish this stupid challenge. It's not really a stupid challenge because I've learned so much about myself, but it's a love-hate sort of thing. So, let me get comfortable for this. Yeah, it's just like 300 days for me to finish this challenge. So I just kind of wanted to talk about everything that I've learned from this challenge and sort of convince you to do it as well. And the reason why I sort of want to convince you is because it's really not for everybody. I'll get into that towards the end. But basically, the reason why I wanted to do this challenge is because if you know me personally, you know that I'm passionate, I'm ambitious, I love to just go. But one of my biggest character flaws or character weaknesses is that while I'm very good at initiating things, I'm not very good at the follow-through or the follow-up or just remaining consistent and disciplined. I wouldn't really consider myself a disciplined person. I'm a passionate person. I'm a motivated person, but that doesn't mean I'm disciplined. And I started noticing, even a while ago, that the reason why I wasn't where I wanted to be in so many aspects of my life was because so many of my efforts in each section of my life, relationships, faith, business, money, finances, everything, the reason why I'm not where I want to be is because I would get really excited about improving these things, like really excited. I'd make a whole game plan. I'd read about it. Like this book, this is a great book, by the way. I haven't finished it yet. My sister got this for me. Charles Duhigg. He's the man. But anyway, I initiate, but it's hard for me to follow through and remain disciplined because for me, I get excited. I'm excitable. And, but once I get bored of something, once it's not fun anymore, I tend to kind of just fizzle out and say, I don't want to do it anymore. And that's no way to build anything that lasts. It's just a real quick spark and then it goes away. So I wanted to take this challenge to challenge myself to be a disciplined person, to be someone known for consistency, to be someone known for discipline. And really, although I want people to think that about me, I want to think that about myself. Because again, so many aspects of my life haven't been realized to their full potential because of my lack of discipline and ability to stick something through, even when I don't feel like it, even when I'm bored of it. And that's one of the biggest slaps to the face that I've got from this challenge is that, having dialogue with myself, like, Matt, you're good at starting, but you're awful at finishing. You're great at inspiring the first step. You're great at motivating yourself and other people to take action. But my problem is being able to take action consistently. Because here's the thing also, I'm a big talker, and that's something I'm actively trying to improve. And not in the way of talking more. I want to be able to talk less and do more. You spent any amount of time with me, in the past, I would tell you all about my goals and all the big things that I'm trying to accomplish, especially my church buddies. I've pretty much grown up with all of them, and they know me very well. And I see them every week, at church. And it's gotten to the point where, understandably, they would ask things like, hey, Matt, you a millionaire yet? Or hey, so how about that big thing? Or I thought you were going to do this and that. And at first it kind of hurt. And it was very tempting for me to blame them for feeling discouraged by their words. But the only reason why they're saying that is because here's what I said. Here's what I said I was going to do. And here I am, not doing the thing I said I was going to do. So naturally, people question that. And if you do this yourself too much, you're going to start questioning yourself. And again, it's tempting to blame haters, to blame society, to blame everything else but yourself for the way you feel. But just take a test. Here's a really quick and good self-assessment. What did you say you're gonna do? Did you do it? That's it. And if the answer is no for a bunch of things, like maybe you wanted to lose weight, maybe you wanted to make money, maybe you wanted to spark your relationship, did you do what you say you're going to do? And so this challenge for me was really to be a man of action. Because I watched this really good video. I'm going to take a sip of my tea. It's a really good video. Their YouTube channel is The Universal Man, I believe. And he's saying there's a difference between being a man of intention and a man of action. And so one of the lessons for me was like, man, I am such a man of intention. And I don't want to be known as Matt the Great Talker, Matt the Great, even Matt the Great Inspirer. I want to be remembered as Matt the Doer, like Matt does, and then talk about it after the fact, and so that's the biggest thing is just like, I've just been a man of intention, and you're not going to get anywhere with your intention. And that's the thing is, if you judge yourself strictly by your intentions, you're going to have a pretty high opinion of yourself. But that opinion of yourself is based on something that is not real. Meaning intentions aren't real, quotation marks, real, in a sense that it's not material. I can have intention of feeding the homeless, but if I don't actually feed the homeless, why should I feel good about myself? Because I intended to feed the homeless? No. I mean, tell that, like, if you're a doctor, you can try telling your patient, sorry, I intended to give you the right medication, but I just didn't because I already felt good about having good intentions. It's not your intentions that count. It's your actions that count. And so I've just been a talk, man of intention. So, but let's talk about why it took me 300 days, roughly. I didn't do the exact math, but definitely around 300 days to complete this challenge. And it's because, again, I've had to come face to face with the reality that my ability to be disciplined and consistent sucks. It just straight up sucks. So the first run through, what I did was I did all the things, and honestly the hardest part is the diet. Oh, that's what I forgot. Part of the challenge is you got to take a progress photo every day. Like and if you miss a day, well, gotta start all over. So this challenge took me so long because I had to come face to face with the reality that I just suck at remaining consistent and disciplined. And it was kind of hard to face because nobody likes to learn the bad stuff about yourself. So the first time around, my diet was to count my calories, and for me that meant not going a single calorie over what I prescribed for myself. I can go under it, but I couldn't go over it. So if I think at the time my calorie count was 2,200 calories a day. So if I did 2,201 calorie a day or 4 a day, gotta start all over. And it was absolutely excruciating. It sucked so much because the thing about counting calories is that normally, like, I've counted calories since like freshman year, and it's not a hard thing to do. Maybe a little bit annoying, and it has a learning curve to it for sure, but it's not in the context of this challenge. It was very stressful because now I have to be super meticulous about weighing my food, measuring my food right, because say I put in the wrong unit. Maybe I measured in ounces versus grams and I got that measurement wrong. I would have to start all over. And it was just so stressful because like coffee has calories. It only has like 5 calories, but that's the thing. Normally I wouldn't even count that, but in the challenge I would have. And it was really hard because I was in Maui. I was in 2 islands doing this challenge, not including the one I live on now. I was in Maui and Kauai, and I was still doing the challenge there, and those really sucked. But the reason why I failed the first time was because at the end, at like day 65 or something, I wasn't fully confident in the fact that I had done this right. I felt like there was still calories that I didn't account for and therefore went over. So I decided to just finish the challenge through. But I also failed like a couple times in the beginning, like within the first week. So it wasn't a huge deal. It was just kind of like, oh, gotta start all over. But I finished the challenge through. But I decided to do it again because again, it wasn't about just completing the challenge. It was about doing what the challenge is trying to teach you, just discipline, mental toughness. And I didn't feel like I could sleep at night knowing that I probably had messed up and wasn't as meticulous as I should have been. So then I did it again. Again with a couple failures within the first week. So not a huge deal, just kind of like an inconvenience. So I went through that and I just remember walking in circles for 45 minutes because when I was in Kauai, we were at this campsite and we weren't supposed to be there because we didn't have a permit or anything. So we were just kind of hiding in the woods. I still had to do my workout and it was completely pitch black and everything. So I remember, and what was nice is that walking does count as a workout. So I remember just walking in circles for 45, literally walking in circles for 45 minutes to get my workout done. I remember just being super pissed off at, having to recount my calories because I found out, oh shoot, I used the wrong food or I used the wrong measurement or something like that. But man, I don't want to bore you with all the details, but it just really sucked. So the second time around, I got up to day 60. Day 60. And I woke up one day basically in sweats. Not sweatpants, but sweats. Actually, I'm starting to sweat now because it's a bit hot in here. But I woke up, checked my phone, and realized I forgot to take a progress photo. So I went through 75 days of this stuff, decided to start over, and on day 60, and I was feeling pretty good after day 60, I failed again. And that really sucked. The second time around, I decided not to do I decided not to do counting my calories. I decided to do intermittent fasting for 8 hours. Now, here's the trend that I've noticed. So I felt, I can't even remember how many times I actually did this thing. But the second time around, I did intermittent fasting. Third time, intermittent fasting. Fourth time, intermittent fasting. Those are the big chunks that I remember. But one thing that I've noticed after having completed all of this is that each time I've kind of relaxed the diet a little bit more in order to accommodate me. Which is why, even though I did finish this challenge after 300 something days, I can't say that I'm fully satisfied with my performance because I had to lower the bar for myself. And while I did finish it and I did stick it through, I do wish it was better. But I'm also being careful not to just dismiss everything that I did. I want to have a healthy balance of looking at what I did objectively, but also, giving myself a pat on the back, giving myself credit where credit is due, because this wasn't easy. Even though I've lowered the bar a little bit, it wasn't easy, because what I did instead was I decided to stick to a fasting window, and I could eat anything I want within that fasting window. And the last time around, I added fasting window plus my diet was to track everything every day. Even if it's inaccurate, it's okay as long as I track. If I have to track. And that was I actually got really... Also, does anybody else have crazy corona hair right now? I do. Tracking. I had to track. So what this challenge has also taught me is that The reason why I had to lower those standards is because I am not who I need to be in order to have a diet that's that strict and to be the type of person to complete it. And I was talking to my good friend the other day, Troy, who also did this challenge, and he and Karina, they're married. They did it the first time through. 75 days, no failures. They did it because those two are some of the most disciplined people I know. And they're killing it. They're killing it in life. I should have this on this podcast, but they did it the first time through. They had a pretty difficult diet as well. Man, oh man. It was tough. So I was talking to Troy, and one thing he said that was really cool was he was like, what I told him. Some of my final reflections was, I am proud that I finished this. I legitimately am. But at the same time, I've become more aware of my inadequacies. But in like a very empowering, like, this is what's wrong, let's go fix it sort of way. And then he said, like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, wait, let me pull that up right now. Yeah, like he said something to the tune of basically, it's not about just like knowing that you're inadequate. He said, it's honestly such a powerful feeling, acknowledging inadequacy, but also realizing how much control you have over it. And I really like that because we all have inadequacies. We all have insecurities. And it's not so much the insecurities and inadequacies itself that makes us feel bad. It's how much agency and control we have or we think we have over it. Because if you have things that you're not good at, say you're not a good salesperson, maybe you don't have good people skills, it's not so much that in and of itself that sucks, but if you believe that you have no control over that is what sucks. And going through this challenge made me realize, like, there's a lot of areas where I suck. But I've kind of proven to myself that if I wanted to take action to achieve a goal, to make my strengths stronger, to fix my inadequacies, I can do that. And this challenge was a fat mirror in my face, saying it was a fat, honest mirror. And if you put a fat, honest mirror in front of somebody, chances are they're going to feel offended or they'll kind of crumble under the shame of what that looks like. But again, having a challenge like this helps you to prove to yourself that yes, you are inadequate, but you have control over that. You can do it. You can do it. But that's why I really am not a fan of this self-care rhetoric of you're good just as you are, you're perfect, you're wanted, you're accepted, you're valuable. And I get what these people are trying to do, but like, that's not the fat, honest mirror. It's a mirror with paint on it that's making you look like who you want to be. And I understand that sometimes you need to kind of placebo yourself and step into the thing that you want to be in order to become. So it's kind of like fake it till you make it sort of thing. I understand that. But what's much more difficult is to come face to face with who you are. And who you are sometimes is not enough. Sometimes is not valuable. But again, you have to get specific about that. You can't just say, I'm not enough. Wah. You gotta ask yourself, I am not enough for what? I'm not valuable for what? Because the reason why I said again is because I talked about this in another episode. I think it was like how to immortalize your fears and excuses. You gotta get specific about it. Having a challenge like this throws you in the fire, and it literally shows you what you're made out of. And I just remember having so many doubts during this challenge and saying to myself, I feel like a failure. Like, I am not who I want to be. Maybe I'm not cut out for success. But being in this challenge forced me to come face to face with those things. And look, I'm not where I want to be. I still have goals to accomplish. I still have character development to do. And I'm more aware of my weaknesses, and I'm more aware of what I suck at. But this challenge has helped me to really realize that I have agency, control, and power and responsibility. Dude, like Uncle Ben in Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, who's the best Spider-Man. Like Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility. But the reverse is true. With great responsibility comes great power. You take away someone's responsibility, you take away their power. You take away your responsibility, you take away your power. And that is something you don't want to do. It just don't do it. Just don't do it. Take responsibility for it. I'm not telling you to crawl in a cave and to cry about it and to just self-loathe yourself, because that's not taking responsibility. That's hiding. That's hiding from it. Let me just look at my notes here. The other thing too is that I'm in sales. So I started a marketing agency. So I have to sell my services. One thing my mentors, and books teach you is that people buy with emotion and justify with logic. But it doesn't just apply to sales and the buying process. It applies to you and how you view yourself. Because if you feel inadequate, or no, not even inadequate, if you feel like you can't do something, you're going to justify it with logic, not the other way around. Because chances are you're much more capable than you believe you are. You're much more capable than you feel that you are. But because you don't feel capable, what you end up doing is you start justifying it with logic, quote unquote logic. Oh, I can't make money because of coronavirus and the economy and things like that. That's the logic that comes after your feeling. So many times in 75 Hard, I had to confront the fact that I wanted to skimp on my workouts. I wanted to cheat on my diet. And what I found was that the logic that was coming after was, you got to train smart. And that was the biggest revelation for me, because I've always been a train smarter kind of guy. I've always tried to find the best productivity hacks, the best sales techniques, and the best strategies and everything like that, because I want to work smart, not hard. I want to go farther than everybody else. But I realized that my pursuit of working smarter, being efficient, being realistic, was really just me trying to procrastinate, me trying to, procrastinate and just not be who I needed to be, because I didn't feel like putting in the work. So what did I do? Since I didn't feel like putting in the work, I would justify it with logic and say, I'm not going to put in the work because I need to work smarter. I'm not going to execute until I work smarter. And looking back, it's like, man, shut the hell up and just do it. Just do it. If any of you have played RuneScape before, it's kind of like, basically it's this online RPG. It's a game. It's just a game. And you need to have a certain attack level to hold certain amounts of, or certain weapons. So Rune is pretty high up there, but you need to be like a level 40 attack to hold Rune. So what I was doing, I was like a level 1 attack, and I'm asking, how do I hold a Rune scimitar? How do I make sure that I can, have the best weapons? It's like, I shouldn't even be asking that question, because I can't hold the Rune scimitar even if I could. As a level 1, you can't hold a level 40 weapon. What I was avoiding, figuratively speaking, was the fact that I just needed to go to Lumbridge in RuneScape and stab goblins with a bronze with a bronze dagger for hours before I can even ask that question. And so the same thing is true with you. It's like, the answer to your question of how to make money or how to improve relationships or whatever, it's probably a little simpler than you think. If you're trying to complicate things, you probably just don't want to stab goblins for 5 hours a day. But chances are, if you want to hold a Rune scimitar, you got to stab goblins for 5 hours a day with the bronze dagger. That's just how it is. I found that for myself, my pursuit of having realistic expectations, realistic or productive systems and strategies was all just a front. It was all just a front for me not wanting to put in the work. If you don't want to put in the work, you're not going to succeed. That's it. Success is simple, but it's not easy. It's not easy. So, man, like, you're way more powerful than you think. And this challenge will show you what you're made out of. It'll make you, it's descriptive and it's prescriptive. It's descriptive in the sense that it'll show you who you currently are. And you might not like it. And if you don't like it, it's prescriptive in a sense that it'll help you be who you want to be. Gosh, and every time I say that, I just think about Barbie. That jingle. Be who you wanna be. Whoa. Whoa. I just lost my voice there. Maybe it's time to wrap this up. But I have a handful of people that I know, and even online that I've seen, that started this challenge and haven't completed it. And probably the lesson that I've learned from that is that I think these people did not complete the challenge because they didn't take the time to really count the cost, among other things, right? I don't want to, I'm not here to judge and to make judgments on their character. That's for them to do. But if you want to do this, you need to count the cost and you need to commit to the commitment. Commit to the commitment. Don't commit to the outcome. Commit to the process and really think, is this what you're going to want to do? Is this something that you are willing to do? It's not can or cannot. It's will or won't. So if you're going to do this challenge, count the cost. Like, think about all the inflection points or all the times where this is going to be really difficult for you to complete. Maybe you're traveling. Maybe you have birthdays coming up. Maybe you have weddings coming up where it's going to be hard to do your diet. Maybe there's another big work project that you need to do and it's hard to, get up in the morning to do your workouts. Just please, for the love of all that is good, if you decide to do this challenge and you quit, please don't tell me that it's okay. Please don't tell me that, oh, well, I've pretty much got what I could have got out of 75 hard. It's like, no, you didn't. Because if you quit, you did not get what 75 was trying to teach you. It just really irritates me when I see people say that, because it's like saying, I tried this diet and I didn't lose weight, but I think I did what the diet wanted me to do. If you're listening to this, I'm shaking my head. That's not how it works. If you didn't stick through the diet and you didn't lose weight, you did not get what you were supposed to get out of the diet. As you can see, I'm starting to lose my voice at this point. I might do a follow-up episode on this, but this challenge changed my life. And I would highly recommend that you do it yourself. But please count the cost and realize it's not easy. It's not easy. And do not take pride in quitting. Do not say that you got what you wanted to get out of 75 hard if you didn't complete it. It's just me. That's just my personal opinion. It was life-changing. And honestly, I feel like there's so many lessons that I'm just not coming to mind right now that I'm not putting into this podcast. But here's the thing, is all the lessons have been ingrained into my heart, in my mind, and in my actions. And because of this challenge, all the podcasts going forward are going to be informed in some way, shape, or form by this podcast. by this challenge. And that's the thing. Even though I don't mentally or can verbally tell you all the lessons, I can tell you with absolute certainty that my life will never be the same because of this challenge. And again, not in a way that I can always articulate, but I've never felt so good about learning about how weak I am. Because while I realized how weak I am, I've realized how capable I am of being better, how capable I am of sticking through with something. I feel good. I feel good. I could have been better, for sure. Could have done this challenge with higher standards, for sure. But I did it. And I'm very proud of myself. So yeah, again, and the reason why I bring all this up is because I feel like there's just so much more I could talk about this, but I'm just kind of running out. But here's the main takeaways. Confront who you are with honesty. And a challenge like this will help you to embrace reality in a massively empowering way. It forces you to take responsibility and just a lot of other good things too. And I've never been in better shape of my whole life. Though I'm not as lean as I'd like to be. And that's partly because I did lower the standards a little bit, which again, I'm not super proud of, but I stuck to it. I stuck to what I said I was going to stick to. So I'm a work in progress, but so are you. If there's any way that I could support you in 75 Hard, please feel free to contact me. I mean, you probably follow me on Instagram because that's how I do this, but it really in any way, whether it's the challenge or anything, I'd love to be here to help. But yeah, that's the episode. Do the challenge. It's game changing. It really is. It really is. And all of my podcasts and really my whole life going forward from this challenge will be informed by what I've done with this 75 Hard challenge. Yeah. Yeah.